go, well, God, that makes no sense what they said. Geez, Kyle's right on this one. That makes absolutely no sense. They said the fix is in if he's not appointed. Now they're saying the fix is in when he was appointed. There's no winning. They're working backwards to their conclusion. There's no winning. There's no winning.
Hello.
Oh my God, this clip has...
I'm Walter. I've just started college. I'm in my dorms today.
It's broken me, man. Because what am I doing?
I am,
what am I doing?
Just gonna watch some news and chill.
I'm like boxing ghosts over here. Because nobody actually believes the things that they're saying, right? But I'm like, hey, here's why that's wrong. It's like, you're not talking to anybody real. Nobody's there. Oh, God. Okay, so look, I have to say, this reminded me of, this is probably the most stark example of this exact dynamic, right? This dynamic of like, I'm just going to be a total hack, and I'm going to change my standards, and I'm going to pretend like nobody notices. So Sean Hannity, under Barack Obama,
this chair's a little short,
was furious about NSA spying and the Patriot Act, and, you know, oh my God, this is a violation of your privacy. But under George W. Bush, he was singing the praises of those exact same programs and saying, this is how we keep America safe. Here, got great examples of it.
We know that you're against the NSA data mining. We know that you're against the NSA surveillance program. So the question is, where does the Democratic Party, what will you do if you're elected to power to make our country safer in the war on terror? Specifically, what will your party support? Your party brags about killing the Patriot Act. You don't want the NSA surveillance. You don't want data mining. We have Pat Leahy saying that he doesn't want a NSA surveillance program. Nancy Pelosi, the woman who'd love to be speaker, she's against the NSA surveillance program. Yeah, sure. You mentioned that. You mentioned the very specific things, the Patriot Act, the NSA surveillance program. The party that's weak on national defense, that doesn't want the Patriot Act, the NSA program, the data mining program. Is it right to say that, for example, on issues involving national security, be it the NSA surveillance program, the data mining program, the Patriot Act, Guantanamo Bay, that Democrats are weak on issues involving national security? And our techniques are working. We've got the NSA program here. We've got the Patriot Act program here. You know, in light of this, how close this was, it's staggering to me that we're even debating the use of these techniques in this country at this time. Big Brother is monitoring your every move, whether it be online or on the telephone. Let's talk about why this story, why is this important to you? Number one, this is America. And as law-abiding American citizens, you have a right to privacy. Number two.
This is literally the exact same program. Nothing changed. Exact same. Exact same. Heroic and necessary under George W. Bush. Oh, evil. Evil spying, taking away your rights under Barack Obama. The same program.
These actions by the Obama administration are clear, very clear violation of the Fourth Amendment, which prohibits unreasonable search and seizure. Number three, the Constitution. It is our rule of law. If we do not respect and honor the Constitution, then anarchy and tyranny will then follow.
By the way, the correct position on that issue is the thing he was saying during the Obama years. He should have said that during the Bush years too. But he would never, because he's a rank partisan hack. He believes in nothing. And I'm the sucker over here responding to them like they're serious and like they're good faith. Know that this is the whole point of Fox News. It's grievance. It's victim culture. It's Republicans are always right. Democrats are always wrong. It is a war on nuance and evidence and intelligence and something being logically coherent. It should be offensive to you. And guys, number one name in news. Best ratings in the country. Best in the country. Poisoning the minds of boomers and the silent generation and some Gen Xers all across this nation on a daily basis. On a daily basis. God, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. Never, ever, 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 ever trust these people. I don't even care if you like this show, if you watch this show, if you like me, if you hate me. None of that matters. None of that matters. What I just showed you means in no way, shape, or form should you trust these people, take them at face value, and assume they're telling you the truth. You do much better assuming they're completely and utterly full of it. There we go, y'all. That's the show. That's the show. I love y'all very much. Thank you, as always, for listening to me babble. Do me a big favor, man. Click that subscribe button. Trying to stay ahead of my wife here. Looks like they're going to pass. I'm going to keep it real. Looks like they're going to pass me. They're gaining 20,000 subs a month. I'm gaining 5,000. I cannot keep up at that pace. So hook a brother up. All right, click that bell icon too so you get a notification every single time the video drops. Right. Much love to everybody who supports.
Yeah, I kind of like Kyle Kalinske. He's like one of my favorites. Oh yeah, that's no surprise. Trump caught witness tampering.
Trump is really rolling the dice, man. He's really tempting fate here. It's almost like he's daring the various judges in the various cases against him to put his ass behind bars and revoke his pretrial release because he's violated.
That's what he wants.
Like every rule that was laid out in front of him as a condition for his pretrial release. So here's one that I don't even see a counter argument to this. Trump came out and said, I am reading reports that failed former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, will be testifying in county grand jury. He shouldn't. I barely know him, but he was, right from the beginning of this witch hunt, a nasty disaster for those looking into the election fraud that took place in Georgia. He refused having a special session to find out what went on, became very unpopular with Republicans. I refused to endorse him and fought the truth all the way. A loser. He went to fake news CNN. Okay, so as Ron Filipkowski points out here, this is blatant witness tampering. He's literally saying this guy, the former lieutenant governor of Georgia, is going to testify before the grand jury, and he shouldn't do that. And he's effectively threatening him. And as we know, this is what he does, right? Trump uses his power and authority as a leader on the right to try to gin up, anger towards a particular person and, unleash the horde on them. We've seen this, just so everybody understands, in Georgia, it's as a matter of the law, the names of the people on the grand jury get released. And so the list of the people who were on the grand jury not only was released, but then a lot of news outlets like Washington Post ran an article giving the names of the people on the grand jury. And then guess what? There's already violent threats against them and death threats against them, and there's a whole thing on 4chan about it. And now these people are in danger. And he likes to gin up and rile up these people and say, that's your target right there. So it's threatening, and it's also blatant witness tampering. He's not allowed, one of the things is you're not allowed to talk to any of the people involved in the trial. That's one of the rules. And here he is directly doing that, directly telling them, do this, do that. If you want to have a high-minded discussion philosophically about whether or not pretrial detention is ever okay, right? You can have that discussion. If you want to have a discussion about whether or not gag rules are ever okay, or rules and regulations and terms upon pretrial release are ever okay, you can have that conversation. And I'm willing to engage in that conversation. But the fact of the matter is, the way it works right now, there are rules around it, there are regulations around it, and he's violating every single term. So what the hell are people supposed to do? I mean, it's putting the people in charge of this case in an impossible position, because now you're going to lock up a former president before his trial, but it's like he gave you every reason to do that, but then of course, the right-wing media will whip into action, and they'll start acting like this was totally unfounded. For the love of God, can anybody on the right be honest about this? Can any of you come out and state the obvious? He shouldn't be saying this. He shouldn't be doing this. It is a violation of the terms of his pretrial release. Will anybody come out and say that? Will anybody say that? No, you'll keep playing defense for this guy. Doesn't matter how egregious he is, doesn't matter how over the line he goes, you're still going to defend it. Now, I got one more for you here. Trump's been melting down over on Truth Social. A large, complex, detailed, but irrefutable report on the presidential election fraud which took place in Georgia is almost complete and will be presented by me at a major news conference at 11 a.m. on Monday of next week in Bedminster, New Jersey. Based on the results of this conclusive report,
was in 1859 that John Brown led a little band of men against the arsenal at Harper's Ferry. John Brown's pitiful little army was crushed, and John Brown himself was captured. When the commanding officer, Colonel Robert E. Lee, asked John Brown what was his purpose, Brown replied, "My purpose, sir, is to free the slaves." "By whose authority?" asked Robert E. Lee. And John Brown answered, "By the authority of Almighty God." John Brown's body lies moldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies moldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies moldering in the grave, but his soul goes marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. And his soul goes marching on. John Brown died that the slaves might be free. John Brown died that the slaves might be free. John Brown died that the slaves might be free. And his soul goes marching on. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Hallelujah. His soul goes marching on.
Words cannot express how much I love that lady. That was the warm welcome that Ron DeSantis received when he showed up his campaign in Iowa. And honestly, at this point, I don't even know why he's bothering, considering how poorly he's doing. He's actually losing ground to Donald Trump with a 27.7-point deficit to make up, and he could possibly be overtaken by Vivek Ramaswamy nationally soon if this trend continues. And to make matters even worse, in New Hampshire, an Emerson College poll finds that Chris Christie has actually passed him. It's only by a point, but he passed him nonetheless, with Tim Scott right on his heels. And these shit poll numbers come after a late July campaign relaunch following concerns from donors that he just doesn't have what it takes to defeat Donald Trump. And I'm assuming that a relaunch entails a pivot away from non-stop woke bullshit and maybe a little bit of a focus on policy, possibly. But even when he tries to be serious and talk about policy, he can't not humiliate himself. So in a CNBC interview, he told Brian Sullivan that he actually supports a ban on congressional stock trading, which is pleasantly surprising, right? Now, come to think of it, I think it's the only policy that he's talked about on the campaign trail. Maybe he's mentioned other things, but this is like the one thing he said where woke wasn't in the sentence, and that's
2 years after John Brown was
shocking.
hanged,
It's almost uncharacteristic of him. And if he just stopped talking right there and just said, "I support this, period," then there'd be nothing left to discuss with regard to that particular policy he brought up. But the problem is he kept talking, and he ended up saying this, quote, "I was a congressman for 3 terms." He continues, "I sold all my stock before I went in because I used to do day trading. Not that I had a lot of money, but I would do it. I just stopped doing it because the thing is if I traded something, someone will then say maybe some vote was there, and I didn't even want the appearance of impropriety." Now, on its face, that sounds good. It sounds like he's been consistent and principled on this issue if we just took him at his word. The problem is, this is Ron DeSantis, and you should never take anything that he says at face value, because predictably, what he said there was a lie. And it's one that is very easily disprovable, because roll call reports that it's true he did sell off most of his stock holdings, but the problem is that House disclosure forms show that he kept stock in US Steel and SiriusXM. Now, I just don't understand why he chose to lie about something like this. Any journalist can look this up and verify whether or not you're telling the truth, so why give them the opportunity to make you look bad? If you just said that you support a ban on congressional stock trading, I think that most Americans would agree with you, including liberals and lefties. So So why go out of your way to give people an opportunity to hand you this L? I don't get it. Maybe he is a masochist and he's a sucker for punishment. But that pales in comparison to another L that he took lately, and I'm of course referring to this idiotic feud with Disney. Because as Deadline reports, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis urged the Walt Disney Company to drop its lawsuit against him while telling CNBC that he has moved on from his battle with the company and that it should drop the lawsuit against him. Last Call host Brian Sullivan asked DeSantis why he doesn't just pick up the phone and call Disney CEO Bob Iger to resolve the dispute. Quote, "We've basically moved on," DeSantis said. "They are suing the state of Florida. They are going to lose that lawsuit. So what I would say is drop the lawsuit. You have the state that even CNBC ranks as #1 of all 50 states for economy." But hang on a second. If you're so confident that you're going to win, then why would you choose to move on and then encourage them to drop the lawsuit? Why not take them to court, beat them, and then you can tout that as a victory? I mean, as a politician, don't you have an interest in saying, I took on this woke corporation and I won? Why would you unilaterally disarm here? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't necessarily scream confidence if you ask
I
me.
thought I had you paused. I am back. I am back. Yes. Ice. Okay. Now I can continue eating my McDonald's, shouting on live, and getting 0 viewers. Hooray! Ah, fuck. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Of course I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Untold millions. They never toil to earn, but without
Somebody at least wants to talk shit to me in the chat. I mean, that's the least someone can do. Just talk shit to me, okay? Tell me that I'm a piece of shit, whatever, so I can yell back at you. Can you do that for me, please? I really appreciate it. I know, I hate myself too. So I guess, I'll watch this, Mike Fregaredo video now. Or Humanist Report.